You don't want militarized people in the streets just roaming around, snatching people up, many of which turn out to actually be U.S. citizens that just don't have their papers on them. Are we really going to be the Gestapo? Where's your papers? Is that what we've come to?
That's a crazy short clip. I want to watch more. Well, at least now I have a longer quote to Control F. Militarized people in the streets. How about that, huh? Militarized people in the streets. Now we know exactly what to look for.
And then I can also see the point of view of the people that say, yeah, but you don't want militarized people in the streets just roaming around, snatching people up, or do something, because if we don't, they're going to keep doing it if they get in office again in 2028, and it's going to accelerate. And you're going to have to take away some of the damage that's been done to a true democratic system, because you've kind of hijacked.
Begin from the beginning. Begin from the beginning.
And so now they have something they really dislike. But who brought it upon? My point is the left brought this. It's not an answer, but it's an explanation that the left is bringing this to their cities because they're refusing to enforce the laws.
Right, and they don't want those laws. They don't like those laws. They think that once people are here, they should be able to stay. And, you know, this is what my friend Gad Saad calls suicidal empathy.
Yep.
And I think
my retarded friend who made up a term. The people who used the term suicidal empathy were the first guys to throw a hissy fit over making fun of Charlie Kirk, by the way. Like suicidal empathy is when you think it's okay to incorporate and add into the citizenry millions of people who diligently work and live their lives in this country. But it's not suicidal empathy to, for the sake of civility politics, worship this hate monger piece of shit whose absence makes the world better, you know?
And I think there's a balance to be achieved. I just don't know how it gets done.
God, he's so fucking stupid.
Because I see both perspectives.
Whatever happened to the those who would be willing to sacrifice their freedom for security deserve neither? Joe Rogan with his big brain over here is like, I guess I don't like secret police marching door to door demanding people snitch on their neighbors and reveal the ethnicity of people in their neighborhood. I don't like the fact that America is turning into a literal papers, please authoritarian state where you have to keep your documents on you at all times, and even that's not a guarantee that you're not going to be brutalized by these secret police who hide their faces. But on the other hand, it's really important to me that we enforce arbitrary immigration laws that do nothing but disrupt our economy and our citizenry. You know, it's really important to me to follow those laws. And Rand Paul, principled libertarian over here, is like, oh yeah, obviously you need to enforce immigration law. I'm very against government intervention, except I do believe in the militarized police state that is required to enforce the borders of a huge contiguous, it's very important to me. We spend billions and billions of dollars every year and erode people's civil liberties if it means getting at those immigrants.
I see the perspective of the people that say, hey, there was an illegal program moving people in here to get votes, moving people in here to get congressional seats, and we've got to change.
Hasn't happened.
That. We've got to take those people that got in and send them back to where they came from or do something, because if we don't, they're going to keep doing it if they get in office again in 2028, and it's going to accelerate. And you're going to have to take away some of the damage that's been done to a true democratic system, because you've kind of hijacked it. And
completely made up. I don't know how you're supposed to engage with people like this. The idea that Democrats were deliberately shipping in illegal immigrants in an effort to win votes when illegal immigrants can't vote. Vosh is right, lying should be illegal. Genuinely, there should be some kind of legal process where the state can be like, hey, you have made these claims, you need to defend these claims. We do this with slander and libel. We literally have this process already for slander and libel. It's just that there's no process for doing this when it's about like a broader statement, right? It has to be directed towards an individual.
They kind of have. And then I can also see the point of view of the people that say, yeah, but you don't want militarized people in the streets just roaming around, snatching people up, many of which turn out to actually be U.S. citizens that just don't have their papers on them. Are we really going to be the Gestapo? Where's your papers? Is that what we've come to? So it's more complicated than I think people want to admit. You know, people want to look at this as a black and white issue. You know, if you're a compassionate person or if you're a pragmatic.
On one hand, we have a real issue, and on the other hand, we have a fake issue. Obviously, the solution is somewhere in the middle, one that allows us to solve both.
And I don't think that's true. I think it's both. But
I think the argument needs to be made again and again, and the left needs to hear that they have created this situation by disobeying the immigration laws.
Ladies and gentlemen, American libertarianism. They created this this situation. Yeah, the Jews made us do this. It's not the people who directly, like, empowered. I mean, you could say that the left did this in the sense that Democrats also funded the fuck out of ICE. I mean, I'm not owning up to that myself because I think the Democrats were so wrong to have done that. Kind of a bipartisan issue there. I couldn't watch the Destiny debate with some TikToker on this. Yeah, because conservatives are genuinely, like, beneath your consideration. They have to be bowled over and dominated. You can't reason with them. They are, like, anti-reason. This is not a subject on which, like, I think that it's humiliating. As an American, I think that it's humiliating that even the most basic, obvious rights that our founding fathers enshrined in the Constitution are now up for debate by 60 IQ troglodytes who think that every random fucking talking point they hear on Joe Rogan or from Nick Shirley or whatever, like, validates this onslaught against all of the things that have thus far survived for a quarter millennia, you know? Like, we're talking about a pretty long-lasting democracy here, a very flawed one, you know. We're not getting too starry in our eyes over this. America's always had its issues, but it's not really... We're backsliding like crazy, man. Over nothing. With the stupidest fucking people. Over and over and over again.
Ignoring the deportation orders, by not reporting people who are committing crimes. Now, we're not talking about some guy mowing lawns. We're talking about somebody who stole a car.
We are, in fact, talking about people mowing lawns. ICE is going after literally everyone, including American citizens.
Somebody who raped somebody. They are in jail. So this...
They're in jail? What? Hold on. They're in jail? I thought the left was ignoring them. Or by ignoring them, do you mean that local police were arresting and prosecuting them for the crimes they commit? They just weren't referring their immigration status to ICE because they weren't asking for it. Oh, that's a different thing. Oh.
This isn't the ordinary working person who's here illegally. We're talking about the criminal illegals in our country.
Well, I think most people were in favor of getting rid of gang members, criminals, murderers, rapists. Most people were in favor of getting rid of those people.
But the thing is that the left-wing cities that are sanctuary cities are not reporting that. That's part of the reason why ICE is in Minnesota.
But they're arresting them. That's the... Otherwise, how would you even know that they had committed crimes?
A good example of that is Aurora, right? Aurora, Colorado, where Trent Dogwa was taking over apartment.
Also, these people are so full of shit, man. The idea that they're only going after criminals when we know for a fact that the Trump administration has never given a fuck whether or not an undocumented immigrant has committed crimes beyond that. We know for a fact they've not. Like, they're so full of shit, and you have to be so fucking stupid as a Republican to watch this. Like, my thought watching this would be like, if I was a Republican, my thinking would be like, isn't it embarrassing that we have to pretend that our aims aren't what they actually are? Like, wouldn't it make you feel cuckolded to watch this and go, you know, oh yeah, man, we only want to get rid of the criminal illegals and all the other illegal immigrants are here to stay or whatever. You don't believe that. Why are you pretending to believe that? You want to get rid of all of them. You want to get rid of legal immigrants too. They've been very clear about that. You want to get rid of swaths, millions and millions and millions of illegal immigrants. You want to get after naturalized citizens. They literally tried to end the naturalization process. You want to go after everyone.
Buildings, and they were a sanctuary city, so the police literally could do nothing about it, which is just pure insanity.
Yep.
It's a lot of problems.
That's fake. Sanctuary cities has never meant that illegal immigrants can't be arrested for crimes. It just means that they don't track or report immigration status for the people they arrest.
But we solved at least half of them today,
think we did.
right?
Rand, thank you so much. I've been a big fan of yours for a long time.
The only good thing that I have to say about this, I guess, like in the long run politically, is that I think this kind of hemming and hawing fake centrism has no future. The Trump administration is not saying, we're only going after the criminals. The Trump administration is Heil Hitler posting from all their socials. This is a pathetic attempt to moderate. Joe Rogan is and always has been a grifter, right? He wants to hold on to an audience even after the Trump regime collapses. You know, when the Trump administration just implodes completely, and a bunch of those people, like they're all left out to rot, basically. Joe Rogan doesn't want his audience cut down to a third. So he understands that he has to like pitch these criticisms now. But I don't really think there's a future for this. The Republican Party is going to have a schism, and one half of it's going to go to that like Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, we're going to do Nazism right this time, no more Jewish involvement or whatever type bullshit. And the other half is going to, in my opinion, be politically disenfranchised effectively, because a lot of these people are too stupid and lack the political imagination to get involved outside of I guess like the Trump like cult of personality. Like these people don't really have a vision for the future of the country, you know? Imagine receding to this. Imagine like going from Christi Noem, Heil Hitler, deport everyone, denaturalize every naturalized US citizen. This should be a whites only country. And then like 5 months later, because the needle moved on Trump's popularity, you're watching this cuck bullshit and going like, I don't know. I mean, we have to follow the laws, but maybe we took it too far. I don't really think there's a future for this. Pathetic, fake, hemming and hawing. Less than 1 million views, ass motherfucker, having a senator on. Fuck you. Libertarians are often more fascistic than self-identified fascists. It's kind of funny. That's true, yeah.
Here is how podcaster Joe Rogan described it.
You don't want militarized people in the streets just roaming around,
Hey, I've seen this clip.
Snatching people up, many of which turn out to actually be U.S. citizens that just don't have their papers on them. Are we really going to be the Gestapo? Where's your papers? Is that what we've come to?
That has also become a big part of this so-called enforcement. I mean, Minneapolis is not a huge...
Why are we quoting podcasters on the news? Well, CNN is barely more legitimate than Joe Rogan is, but, you know, you follow the attention, right? If people watch Joe Rogan, you have to talk about Joe Rogan. I don't talk about Joe Rogan because I find him interesting. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. And they are absorbing thousands of federal officers, more than any other deployment that they've done so far. And we are seeing these encounters where you're seeing federal officers, maybe ICE agents, maybe Border Patrol, walking down the street, stopping people. Mm-hmm. Sometimes because they look Somali.
Holy shit, I didn't realize this. The Homeland Security Twitter account quote tweeted Laura Jadid and it's like, we never hired you. And then fucking Laura quote tweeted them with the screenshot of the website, or like a video of them navigating the website saying like, you've been hired.
Or they look brown or whatever it is. This is according to those people who were stopped, and asking them, where are your papers? Show me your papers. Where were you born? That's the stuff that we're seeing. And Americans like Joe Rogan are concerned about it.
And I think part of it is, look, Joe Rogan's identity does not depend on defending Donald Trump and his administration doing things that are indefensible. And I see people all the time bending themselves on TV, bending themselves into all sorts of pretzel shape because they subsist from being a Trump supporter, and that's all they've got. Joe Rogan, I think, is speaking out of conviction, is speaking out of what he is seeing. And I think it's reflective of what a lot of Americans feel right now. People are showing up at the streets because they are pissed off at what is happening in our country. It is heartbreaking to see these images in America. We are the country that's supposed to be an example for the rest of the world. And the things that are happening in our streets are the type of things that happen in these third world countries. And they do bring all sorts of bad memories when you see these masked men.
I don't think this rhetoric works on anyone. It doesn't. I keep saying move the needle, but like it's kind of apt, you know. The right would be totally okay with living in a third world country as long as their guy was in charge. They are serf people. They're like subservient by nature. They're natural slaves. they would accept any degradation to their standard of living as long as every day they could wake up and know that dear leader is doing like a based in red pilled thing that they like.
Targeting people, and it's not just Minnesota. I mean, we remember the woman who got pulled out of the street in Boston by masked men. We have seen pregnant women dragged. In Minnesota, we saw 2 young teenagers who were working at Target, like so many of our children do.
American citizens.
Have a job while going to school, being pulled out, while screaming, I'm a U.S. citizen, I'm a U.S. citizen, because they look Latino and they were Latino. That is un-American and unacceptable, and good for Joe Rogan for standing up and denouncing it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
More of Trump supporters, if they
He didn't really
him,
do that.
A U.S. citizen, especially a woman, in the face, when people say it's justifiable because the car hit him, it seemed like she was kind of turning the car away.
Now, Joe, what was really striking to me about this Quinnipiac poll, 53% said it was unjustified for the ICE agent to shoot Renee Good. But I was also really surprised by how this has penetrated. 82% of registered voters say they saw that video. So you're talking almost universal.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank God the Trump administration's fucking stupid and decided to die on this hill. That is genuinely insane. 82% in a poll. That degree of media saturation is basically unheard of. Like the State of the Union address doesn't get this kind of numbers. Nothing does. Like this is an unbelievably widespread, like widely received video.
Impressions of what happened there. Is it? I don't know. Are Republicans misreading the situation or risking misreading
a little
the
bit?
situation?
Look, if anyone saw the last segment, right, I had no problem defending the officer, and I think Joe Rogan's factually wrong about his assessment. But I am a big Joe Rogan fan.
Oh, yeah.
I listen all the time. And he is really emblematic of one of the most successful things Trump did in the campaign. It was to engage podcasters and win a lot of people who listen to that type of forum.
What are you talking
I have a
about?
conversation in my head with Joe Rogan for hours every week. I'm a big fan, right?
I'm so tired of the future of my country and of my people being hinged on the whims of genuine mentally ill people. I'm so tired of it. Like, mentally ill leftists are annoying in fandom wars on Tumblr. Mentally ill right-wingers control every level of media and the government. I'm so sick of it. It's so fucked up. Why does everything have to be at their behest? My people equals whites. My people equals gamers, you fucking retard.
Talk to him. So when I hear him challenging something that I believe, or my gut reaction to something, I actually listen to him. So I do think this is a problem for Trump because I think he is a very good barometer of where people stand. Again, this instant, he might be factually wrong on. I think he is. But he is a good barometer of where...
He hasn't said anything. Literally all he's saying is... I disagree with him on this, but I'm still going to suck up to him because I understand he's one of the big like pipelines that brings normies in with Trump. Like he's a Republican strategist. That's his job here, you know? Oh, I disagree with him on this one, but you know, I hope he still brings people in.
A lot of Trump supporters are, and I would have, you know how they have the Waffle House indicator for a hurricane? Like if the Waffle House is closed, there should be a Joe Rogan indicator.
All right, with us now, stand-up political commentators.
Literally, like he said nothing there but gluck. That was just... if I could interrupt everyone for a moment, I'm Joe Rogan's biggest fan, and I understand that if Joe Rogan ever turns completely against the Republican Party, we're fucking sunk. So...
Finney and David Urban. And friends, what I'd like to do is not relitigate the video or the events. I actually want to talk about how they're landing in comments like the ones David just made by Joe Rogan, who seems to be saying, I support the president's immigration effort notionally. I do not like what I'm seeing on the ground, though, he seems to be saying. How pervasive do you think that opinion is?
Yeah, John, listen, I think it is
extremely pervasive based on the polling.
Very pervasive, right? Americans overwhelmingly voted, one of the president's strongest suits, Americans overwhelmingly voted for this president, if you look at the numbers and reasons given, to secure the border and crack down on kind of the sieve that was the border under the Biden administration. And this administration effectively sealed that border up and did that. And then the president promised to go after the bad hombres and the drug dealers and get those people out of America. And you know, there's a lot of support for that in America. What there isn't support for, and the polling bears this out. This isn't David Urban's opinion. This is the polling. It bears out that people do not want to see what you're seeing on your screen right now. They do not want to hear what Joe Rogan is saying. They don't want to see masked men geared up like Delta Force walking down the streets of America, asking people for their papers, throwing them on the ground, zip tying people who are doing sheetrock, you know, gardeners, nannies. They don't want to see that, right? That's not what they voted for. And so it is really hurting this president.
It is what half of the country voted for, you know, give or take.
And the numbers on an area where he was strongest, on immigration, strongest. Now it's becoming a weaker point. You know, Karen knows this. President Obama deported lots of folks, but he did it in a completely different way. The Obama administration grabbed lots of folks who just came across the border, people who hadn't really.
I'm not defending Obama, but this often gets like framed incorrectly. The majority of the quote-unquote deportations under Obama were turnaways. Rather than seizing people inside the country, somebody like a undocumented immigrant, or not even an undocumented immigrant yet, but like a person moving up into America would cross into the border and they would be turned away at the border or sometime after the border. Like a lot of emphasis was placed on deterring people as they entered the country rather than sweeping up the people already in the country. That's not to say that Obama didn't sweep up people who are already in the country. ICE was already a thing by then, but you know, the priority was different. When we talk about Obama being the deporter in chief, we're largely talking about those more preventative measures being taken by him. It was objectively far less brutal than what's happening right now. That's not a defense, though, of what was happening. At the end of the day, there's no way around this in the long run, apart from... There are two ways to deal with the glut of undocumented immigration from Latin America, right? One of them is what Trump has done. You make this country so shit that nobody wants to come here. Right now, border crossings are like 0, okay? Who the fuck would want to be here right now? The other option is you have to put a lot of money into immigration courts, proceedings, and border patrol. I apologize for my my fascist tendencies here. I don't think it's innately bad to have a well-funded border patrol. It just matters, like, what are they doing? Because in my mind, the job for border patrol should be, you know, you see a person crossing the border, you're like, hey, you're an asylum seeker, what are you doing? Direct them over to a port of entry. There's a whole bunch of like complicated security concerns that they would need to manage, which, I mean, they've been doing to varying extents for over a century. But they should facilitate the process of entering the country, you know? And that does take a lot of money. I'm fine with all of it. Obviously, all that can be done humanely. I'm sorry, why was I talking about this?
Integrated themselves in the communities, hadn't become people's neighbors. And, you know, surprisingly or not surprisingly, people don't like it when ICE shows up in their neighborhood and take away people that they have relationships with. The Obama administration was very effective because they snatched people didn't really know. And in this case, neighborhoods see this happening and they don't like it. So I think the tactics need to be addressed. I mean, it's just factually true, Karen.
It's not just that.
The delay. Oh, no.
Well, okay. You don't even know what I'm about to say, David, so why don't you let me talk? You know, it's not just that this idea that somehow there's a difference between, it's not just taking people that people know. It is the violence. It is the terrorizing of communities. There's a story in USA Today, a couple was getting
You know, they've actually been going door to door in Minneapolis. Not just going door to door. They've actually been asking people about the ethnicity of their neighbors. Saw an article on that too. Yet another thing that I should have saved for stream. There's I think, is it a Vietnamese people? There's like a Vietnamese community in one of the neighborhoods in Minneapolis that's like common there. Hmong, thank you. Is that how it's pronounced? Hmong? Am I in the ballpark there? And they were like, ethnically, like broadly, a lot of them were collaborators with the United States during the Vietnam War. Am I correct in my memory of that? Like they were with the side of the South Vietnamese. Don't pronounce the H, just Hmong? Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. But anyway, they're literally like going door to door asking people like, hey, are any of your neighbors of this race? That's not legal, obviously, but they're doing it anyway.
From a cruise, they're in Miami. The ICE or border protection comes into their cabin, hauls them out. The gentleman of the couple, they're both American citizens. He's a Coast Guard veteran. I mean, it's the violence that people are really reacting to. And David is right. I mean, this is...
The Mongo from Laos? Are they? Hold on. Let me Google really quickly because I'm interested. I only, like, briefly, this was like my wake up 8 a.m., 8:02 a.m. pull up phone, open up Twitter. Like that was the mental state I was in when I processed this information. The Hmong are an ethnic group with origins near China's Yellow River, known as free people who migrated to Southeast Asian mountains, Laos, Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, and have large diaspora communities globally, especially in the US after fleeing persecution following the Vietnam War. Wait, if this is an ethnic group that fled following the Vietnam War, why the fuck are they looking for them? Like, they're not first-generation immigrants. If there are any, like, ethnically Hmong people in Minneapolis, it would be like their children and grandchildren. Because they're not white? Yeah, I guess.
Really, people are very aware of this story, and they're very aware of other stories where they're seeing this armed militia, essentially, acting as though Americans have no rights. We have the right to ask someone to see their badge, who they are. But these ICE officials are acting as though you don't have that right. And
yeah, all right. Well, whatever. The lesson here, I guess, is that no matter whatever he says, far right or far left, the sanctity of Joe Rogan as a media institution remains unchallenged by CNN. No one can ever just say, boy, that guy's a fucking massive retard and a hypocrite. Vietnamese is actually the third most common language in Nebraska? Really? That's interesting. What a beautiful, diverse country we have, and will have, despite this administration. They can't get rid of it.